Hello everybody, welcome to Startup Guide Vienna in the wonderful, very snowy and windy December today. I'm very glad that today we've got quite a big audience, and for those who watch it via live stream, hope there are even more than inside this audience. Today we've got a very special occasion. Usually we only have one speaker, but this time it was simply not possible to separate those two speakers. I know them for much too long already. Which reflects mainly on their age, not on mine. I'm still very young. And I'd like to welcome on stage Alex and Klaus. Please give them a warm round of applause.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Stands on. Yeah. If you turn it on, it works. Yeah, it's kind of the way. Okay, last people are coming in. It's gonna be interesting how I will sort you. First, let's give the audience a little bit of insight where you come from, where did you grow up. So give them maybe you've got a nice little memory of your childhood that explains your character a bit before we start over in all the no professional stuff yet. Yeah, only some insight. And because he's such an old guy, we'll start with Klaus.
Hi everybody. So, as he said, my name is Klaus-M. Yeah, it's always very important for me because no M. Some guess it's marketing, but as you see here, maybe. Where do I come from? Probably I come from south Austria, Lower Austria. From Baden, maybe some of you know it, where a lot of old people are. Maybe this is why I'm not there anymore. I grew up there, had a very good childhood, but I realized very early in my childhood, that I was always like trying to manage everything and and also to bring people together and to to see how you can like bring other people to do more than they maybe achieve without you. Yeah, so that you are like a coach or something. Yeah, this was always my role, and I think this is also the role I had in the companies. Yeah, to try to evolve the culture. In my childhood, I didn't know that it's maybe important to have a culture, but it was like, to bring the people together and to do something together and not alone. Yeah, and this is also how I later on met this guy. Some of our friends say we are married, so he's my second wife. My first wife, she also knows that he's my second wife. We came together at the university.
Did you come first, or?
No, probably he's the first one, but this is what I never
it's very. She probably is watching on live stream. You know that. It's okay.
It's okay.
So that was the first intro. Alex, please your first intro, so people get to know a bit about you.
Thanks, Dietmar. Well, I'm from close to Vienna. I'm close to Neuburg. For some people who know it, I moved over to the south now, after 15 years. Actually,
paid him for this.
He paid me for this. Actually, my entrepreneurial background was that I never had enough pocket money, and I used to garden. And there was a journalist when we founded the first company, and he actually wrote in the first article ever about me and about Gentics, our first company. He wrote, "Mr. Szlezak is a professional gardener." Which is a running joke at the company. But basically, that was my first business before I started digging down wires in the roads to provide internet to people. And with this, I started at the University of Economics in Vienna. I met Klaus there. And that's where all the companies started, basically.
Basically, it's all the schooling system's fault, as we can see. So now it's now we have all the love story. So, how did you meet? What did you do first? Entrepreneurship or partying, or how did that develop?
Well, Klaus was tutoring in the computer rooms at the university, and he usually had a dog who had no hair and wearing military pants. But he was a good programmer and he always got things done and I was selling them. So that was how we did our classwork, basically. And then it turned out to be a company.
So probably our first steps were really at the university. So we are really thankful for the University of Business Administrations in Vienna. So
don't do too much advertising. This is for my sponsors, not for the university.
And probably Google also helped us a lot. Yeah.
Great.
So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And Holway didn't exist then, and all the others.
No, the funny story though there was I was tutoring and I had one guy I met there. He was like a programmer, yeah, and I thought, wow, programming, how can you program? I have absolutely no idea about programming. Probably I was sitting in the tutoring room and helping people with their computers, but I had absolutely no idea about how to write code. And this guy, he brought me to Alex. Yeah, I'm very thankful for that. And then I decided with the other guy to create a company. Company. We said, okay, we sell something. We sell online shops. And then I created a website.
What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that?
It was like
1999.
99. Okay, 1999. So we created the first website. You know, it was on Hypermart. iShop.hypermart.net was free, and we created one Word document with the product description, and then suddenly a customer came. Yeah, and we were shocked. Yeah, oh my God, we have to develop a online shop. It was a little bit. It was like right now. It was like December, and I told this to my developer. I told him, "Hey, we have a customer. We want to program a shop," and he said, "No, I leave." Damn. Fuck. So I bought a Perl book for the really older guys. You know what Perl is, and I learned Perl over Christmas and. I needed a contract, so I asked this guy who was before leaving for his he had a university semester in the United States, and so I asked him, "Can you draw me a contract?" I have absolutely no idea, and this was the first step together. So we worked in the nights when he was awake, with ICQ. Really old.
Who in here knows ICQ?
Okay.
Jesus, you're older than you look like.
Yeah. Biased audience. But it was the time of Napster.
Ah, yeah, true.
I had a 10 megabit connection at the university, and I was totally Napstered.
And yeah, then Alex came back, and we started the company. And Alex is the absolute networking guy, and we said we need a developer, another developer, and he told me there is one guy, but maybe you tell the story about our third
that's a
partner,
good idea.
who is right now in Sydney, because we sold him to Sydney. So this is another story.
We actually thought about getting a monitor on here and putting him right behind you so he can watch,
he
but it's a
wake
bit
up
too
in
early.
1 hour. No, thing was, one thing about companies is really how to get together your team. And in the beginning, you have absolutely no idea. And one of the greatest coincidences was to meet all these guys. And since we needed a really good programmer, I had a guy besides Napster where I was streaming MP3s in the United States, and he was doing it from his UPC account in Vienna. And so I just emailed this guy and asked, like, "Are you a programmer? And, and can we meet?" And then we met in the Blaustern, and probably people will know it close to the old University of Economics. And he agreed to meet us, and he was a little bit scared in the first round because he was appearing in military pants with a black dog, and I was not business style dressed either. But then he gave us a try, and that's where Heimo joined in, and then we had 2 other guys. So in the beginning it was 5 who started the company. Turned out to be 3 in the end.
So that was your story. How did you arrive? Well, what was Gentics, your first company? You can see it here. How did you arrive at the product? How did you start over? What did you do?
Okay, there's a lot of stories. We now remember that. Our first office, it was not the garage of his house, of his father's house. It was the library. Yeah, so this was our first office. and we were sitting somewhere.
It was pre-Starbucks, I think, in Vienna.
And we were sitting at the balcony, and we thought, I think we have to move on from my self-employment, where we get paid with the customer. We have to have a GmbH, yeah. And oh my God, we then have to earn like 200 or 300,000 shillings per year. That's impossible. Impossible. No, this was the first step where we thought, okay, maybe we should try it. Yeah, this was our first risk taking in our life, and we had a software which you probably know, like it's like WordPress, not so good and not so many people use it, but it's content management system. And we created one very, very old content management system. And suddenly the Telekom Austria, they knocked at our door and said, we want to buy this. And we said, you didn't even see it. No, it's CMS. It's okay, we buy it. Okay.
They tried to go on the stock exchange, so they were in a hurry.
Yeah. And you know, after this first meeting where we sold it without them seeing it, we sat together with a beer, or maybe it was vodka because we needed some vodka, and we said, okay, impossible. We can't sell this system. We have to rewrite it in the next 3 weeks. So we slept in the office, and we developed it totally from scratch again. Yeah, it was still shit. Yeah, so only we could use it, but it was enough for their first going IPO, and this was like the start of our company. Yeah, so we had a software we sold, but it was shit, and yeah, we rewrote it again in the next summer.
The remarkable thing was we had this product, we did it in 3 weeks, we threw it again, what developers usually do when they write software. They write something, throw it away. But the contract to sell it took, 6 months. It was the first and hardest negotiation we ever had with such a customer, being told rookies. And if we look at the pictures back 15 years, we're totally unclear about why ever somebody bought something from us. And I mean, you have seen all these scandals about Telekom Austria and all these people like Mr. Fischer and all these guys who went to jail right now. They were our business partners. So absolutely, they knew their business, basically. That's what I wanted to say.
So at that time, you said that you wanted to build a limited company, of course, and then there was this client. So you have been a little group. So when did you decide who, like, there is, of course, more than coding. You need to do some marketing in the end. You need somebody to be organizing the legal stuff, I guess. That was already clear who was like organizing it at least. So Alex, how did you how did you develop your roles, and maybe how to develop in the first years when you started to grow Gentics from one product at one client side to a bit more?
It's an interesting topic, and it cost us most of our lifetime, I guess, to form a really good company and to form a really good team. That's one of the toughest things I can ever imagine. And especially when you're young and when you come from university and you have all this theoretical knowledge about how things should work, then you try things in ways that could never work. And that's one thing is, in a startup, everybody does everything, but still in the back of your mind, you have some wishes. I always wanted to be the CEO and the only CEO, and I tried to put it in the contract to have a Sonderrecht auf Geschäftsführung in the beginning, and everybody else was laughing about it. But in the end, it turned out that the qualities everybody had kind of were visible in the beginning. They just needed some years to really turn out, and that's why 2 people left the company. That's why in the end, Klaus was the guy really responsible for the culture, for finances, for having the projects finished, and for making existing customers happy. I was the guy for getting new customers, running out there, cutting down trees, and the team following there. And Heimo, the guy in Sydney, he in the end turned out to be the ingenious visionary in technology ways. But there was a painful process, and there were like endless fights, and we really don't know why this company worked out this way. Probably because we were trying hard enough. It's like in a relationship, and we had and we had a good psychiatric, which was Matthias Strolz from the NEOS, who did the strategy meetings with us. And he was really helpful on this.
Maybe it worked out because we got married and we also took HIMO in our marriage, and you know what it would cost you when you want to get separate, divorced from me. So this was maybe the easier part.
We're still together, so it can't be that bad. I have to admit. So, so that was your first. So everybody like had their role from themselves, kind of already in them, and want to develop it. So how did you like? I can remember the time when I was joining you on a product at some stage in 2005, 2006, something like that, long time ago. So how was it with your first employees? Maybe you can give some hints to those people inside the room who are like trying to hire your first employees, what not to do, what to do, like your experiences from these years.
That's hard. I mean, we had one big advantage because our company, the first one, took really 13 years before it got sold. So we had a lot of time, what a lot of you in your startups do not have, because you like have to grow with double the whole team next year. This was never possible for us because we were always bootstrapped. But I think in the beginning we did some things wrong because we had too many compromises. Yeah, we knew what we wanted, but we always took, I don't know, we paid not enough, so we got not the people we wanted. It would have been better to invest more in the right people. What we do or what we did in the last years. Yeah, we had a very long selection process. We had something like where we had really a long test phase where we like really got to know the people before we hired them. We paid more. It's very important. In the beginning, you can't pay that much, but was very important. I always tried to follow my saying, my motto. It was like, bring more intelligent people in your circle of work or in your life than you are. Yeah, this is what I always try to follow because, and I read it from like today. There was some saying from Steve Jobs. I don't know if it's really from Steve Jobs. You know, they always put Steve Jobs next to their saying, so it's more important. But it was like when you so you always lose the line when you're sitting here. It's not so easy. But you should so now I lost it. Okay, let's go on.
Maybe Alex can
maybe I find it later on.
I'll add
intelligent saying.
There's a question.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely.
No,
absolutely. No, now I know what I want to say. Sorry, just to get it. So because they always say like they pay a lot of intelligent people to afterwards when they hire them to tell them what to do. This is the wrong way. Yeah, you pay a lot, or you want to hire intelligent people that they tell you what to do. Yeah, and this is what I want to learn all the time, even now. Yeah? And even if it might sound now really cool, if we have like 2 exits, I mean it is cool, but. I still want to know and to want to learn a lot of things because I really do not know a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm taking a class of machine learning right now at a Stanford University professor. I'm so bad. I'm so unintelligent. But thanks for some guys here who helped me, like Florian, somewhere hidden there. But you always have to learn. Yeah, and this is what you can learn when you hire intelligent people or more intelligent people than you are.
I wanted to add something for the beginning. I mean. There's basically 2 ways. If you bootstrap, you hire friends and family and you make them work for nothing. And you work with people who are not good and you compensate for it by working even more. But you simply need the hands to do things. There was no startup industry like we have it now. Of course, you could get money with the right ideas, but we started right after the first wave of the .com bubble. So there was no money at that time. But basically, nowadays there are 2 ways. Either you put in money and you put in really good staff, or you work a lot and you have an excellent core staff who's working for nothing. And you can still make it because your business scales enough. Or you just build a normal company who grows, like you bootstrap it and you invest as the cash flow allows it. So we did a lot of errors in selection, and one of the hardest things to learn from my way, we always, both of us, we had Employees, we quit too late. There was a very important lesson to us. We said like, no, it will work out tomorrow. No, he will improve, whatever. Bullshit. Fire him. And the interesting learning was the person were happy about it because they thought about quitting too because it was not satisfying. So that's one of the lessons, no matter if it's a partner or if it's an employee or whoever.
He's thinking about quitting, my Klaus. I have a really...
I always wanted to say this, you're fired. No, just don't drag it along too long.
So maybe Alex, give us a quick overview what happened after like you become a small company and then to your exit. How did that develop, that part? So you got some products, you got some customers. Maybe there's one or two stories that you can share that is really insightful about what to do or not what to do. And then like how did you come along that you got then sold, because we're gonna have to talk about your other stuff as well, and we're in already.
I mean, the thing was, there's one learning, like decide if you have a product or if you have a service, or if you provide services. We tried to do both in our first company, which worked out because we were the sales superstars in the C level of the company. But it put a limit up to the scale we could scale it up. We've been really successful in Austria, and most of you will have used Help.GVT or Swarovski website or Erste Bank, and that's all running on the software we built in this company. So we're really proud of it. But there were some natural limits in the way we sold the product. We could never get it out of Austria and make all the investments we put in this software to recap it and develop it further. That's a real lesson here. But still, we were a product company, and there was a differentiator, and that put interest in the company, the Austrian Press Agency, which finally acquired us in end of 2012, because they thought about, well, we tried it ourselves, the product didn't work out, we would like to add content management to our portfolio, because we're very active in the newspaper business, and we need some addition to have the regular like businesses as a customer. So they wanted to bring together their content resources and the software we had. That was the basic idea behind the deal. And what was really important in the beginning, in 2010, we almost failed. So we had a really strategic misfit in the management. We like each other still, but there was one member who had totally different ideas about how to proceed with the product. So in the end, we decided to buy him out on full risk. The company was not doing well then. So we invested whatever we had to have one partner less. And then Heimo sparked with the idea of an editor who is revolutionizing the way we edit content on the internet. And that was the idea that really pushed the company to new heights just before we got acquired. So getting acquired is both something, a little bit of luck that you have somebody that needs what you have and what you are at the moment. It's a lot of sales business, it's a lot of negotiation business, and it's the right team and the right time. Because if you're in like upturn, like we were, it was perfect to sell.
Maybe some insight into the editor, the Aloha editor. Like there was like major thing in your development. How did that like really help you build your product and like then sell the company later on? Maybe you can give us some insight into that, even if Heimo is not here and he's enjoying himself on the beach. Oh, he's not yet, but
yeah. So like Alex said, 2010 was a really hard time, and I can remember once when we sat together and I said, okay, I will leave the company, because this is not what I want to have, and I'm not happy anymore, and I will go to, I don't know, I think it was Canada or something like that. But then we saw that it's probably maybe not our, let's say, or we knew what the problem is and how we can solve it. And I'm happy that we did that. And so we had it was like in the car when you're loosening the handbrake, and the car was suddenly shooting up, and we thought about, content management is very mature market, very hard, a lot of competition, like 1,400 competitors even in Europe alone. And we thought, what is the very important thing about it? It was one of our strategic meetings and about strategy, vision, and so on. And I can really recommend to do this once a year or twice a year. Yeah, and this was always the thing which helped us most, really to think, where do we want to go? How do we come there? What are our goals? And we thought, okay, in content management, we have to change something. We have not to compete on new features. We have to really make editing cool. Yeah? And so we need a cool editor. And then we started by developing a new editor, like VCVic editor. You probably know, probably you're using that in your product. And we thought, okay, we need something absolutely new. And then Heimo sat down and came up with a really cool idea. Yeah? And they developed for half a year, and then we had a new editor. And then Heimo said, okay, we will make a bar camp, something like a bar camp, and it's called Aloha bar camp, and we will invite some people, and there were like 23 people, but I think it were like from 15 countries, and from 4 continents. It was like amazing, and 3 guys from jQuery. You probably know the JavaScript library, which is very, very, it's used very often in many websites, like 55% of the worldwide websites it's used. 3 people came from there, from their foundation, and they flew to Vienna just to join us. And this was really great to have a product like that. Like this really pushed us. If you have like people coming to you suddenly and want to see your cool technology. So Aloha was a really, really cool invention. One thing, what we also learned from that is, if you have a company and you're building something new inside the company, take it out as soon as possible and build a new startup with it, and put some dedicated people on it. This was really a problem, because inside a company you always have one main problem in your company, and then you take all the development resources from this side project. Aloha Editor helped us a lot to gain like Unica. There are some people here who are former Unica employees. Hi. They bought us because of this cool editor, Sozialversicherung, they bought us Arbeiterkammer and so on. This was really, really good for our product. But right now, it would have been better to move it out, to make a new startup, and to with their own survival problems, they will grow, or would have been grown much better. And this is what we did with the second company. Where is it? There.
It's up there. And we're coming to that now, because that's actually the perfect translation to that. So, Alex, maybe from your point of view, like, what happened? So you started WikiDocs, and maybe some introduction in the first days of WikiDocs, and then Klaus can finish it up, so you both don't need to talk, to think as much. So it's actually quite good.
Well, the thing was, inventing Aloha Editor was something like inventing part of the browser in a new way. It made editing possible across all these platforms, so it was really easy. And at this time, Google Docs was getting used in a broad fashion. We knew the qualities, and we used it extensively. And we thought about, okay, that's the next big thing, making people work on the same document at the same time, and people seeing the changes, and no ever sending versions of a document by email and getting mixed up with the different versions. So there was a logical next step in what we started with the Aloha Editor. And since we had good experience with FFG, the Forschungsförderungsgesellschaft, and funding of our past projects we did with some universities, we said, okay, we'll simply try that. That's such a new thing, and Google says it's not possible, and it's not freely available. So we wrote this application for the funding, and we got I think more than 160,000 euros non-refundable, which was pretty nice. And we started having a dedicated team working on this. And to make a long story short, before we sold Gentics, we decided to outgrow this company and form a separate entity. And it was actually a big success story for us. since this catched interest of a lot of companies, and finally Atlassian, who bought it 1 year later.
So, like, what was the time spent from it starting? Did you like separate it off right after 1 month, or like how long did it take till you like did your own entity? And why the hell did you send Heimo away? I like him. So, give us some insight on that part.
It was the money. No. Okay. The cool number is we sold the company after 180 days after Speed Invest. Thank you, Nina. After Speed Invest invested into the startup to make it grow, we sold it. Yeah. So was really, really cool. It was 1.5 years after we sold the other company. So still in our retention phase in the other company, we sold the next one, which was also pretty nice. At the end, I mean, it took like from 2011 to 2014, so 3 years to really grow the company. I mean, in the beginning, it was like a project in Gentics. Then when Appa came and told us that they want to buy us, it's all some things in the company always happened in the same manner, because it was like Heimo and Alex, they talk together because they know I'm the risk-aware person, and then they called me and said, "We take this out of the company. We don't sell it with the Gentics. We make a new company before we get acquired." I said, "You can't do that. I mean, our buyer, they will jump off the deal and we lose everything. You know, no, we can't do that." But then they always say, "Oh, we can do it." And I say, "Okay, I trust you. You know, you have to trust your wife." So I trusted them, and it was a good move. And we moved it out. So take risk, calculated risk, take risk. Was really a good step. And so yeah, we sold it to Atlassian, which is in Sydney. Probably it was a hard deal because it was like the lawyers were in the US. The company from them, which was acquiring, should have been in UK. They are in Sydney and we are in Austria, so it's very easy to get a phone call. Yeah, so it was like 2 a.m. It was always funny for us. And and yeah, Heimo, so our third partner, he's for 2 or more years in Sydney. He loves it there. It's like Google there. It's what I not like because I have to get him back somewhere. But he's really happy. I was now there twice this year. So if you join me on Facebook, then you see all the off-road photos, which is quite really cool in Sydney to do. So yeah, quite a nice thing.
So there's now some guesswork, of course, because you sold Gentics, then you sold WikiDocs. What would have happened if WikiDocs wasn't sold? Was it your plan to like both of you also to be part of WikiDocs, or was it always like more like being like 100% part, or was it always more like this is a separate thing and Heimo is mainly running with your help? But like, what was your view on that? Because you didn't know, of course, that half a year later, a small company called Atlassian, who's pretty well known, who probably everybody in this room has used, will buy it.
There is a few things about this. First one, it's about negotiation. It's about getting good advisors. We had, to my view, we had really good advisors in terms of legal and tax advice and coaching. We had Oliver from Speed Invest as a coach on our first deal, so he knew exactly how we negotiated when he was on the second one, and that led to the possibility at all to run WikiDocs besides the company Gentics being sold, and me to run my next company.
We're coming to that.
Besides that, so we were only 4 days at Gentics at the time we sold it, which is pretty unusual, actually. And the thing we learned is you just have to be bold to ask. And as long as you can build trust, you can expect a lot. That's something I would invest, and there are lots of advisors who can help you to achieve that properly. But if in WikiDocs we knew this was an exceptional technology, as I said, Google on the Google Waves page said, well, it's not possible to do this in HTML. That's basically the thing. So we knew we had something very special. which is not an everyday thing. Gentics was in that term not by far not as special. It was a good business. It was generating tons of revenue, but it was not special in a technology way. WikiDocs is exactly on the opposite side of this of the scale. It was an exceptional technology that somebody could use to improve its products, and that's exactly what Atlassian needed. What we failed on, and that's important, we tried to commercialize the technology ourselves. We tried to put a public wiki, a collaborative wiki people could work on, and we totally failed because we had the usual problem that you think, I'll put something on the internet and the customers will come. The hell, they do not come.
Yeah, they not.
So it could have failed if we, and that's why we went on a technology sale with the help of Speed Invest, because there was the risk-wise wisest decision, I think, in that situation.
So Alex, give us maybe 3 sentences to what you're doing now, because it's the next business, and then I want to have Klaus view on what did you think when you came up with like the third company like at the same time, because basically it was WikiDocs. You started Unwired in 2010 or 2011. Maybe to give us some couple of sentences to Unwired, and then Klaus can give us some insight what he thought when you were coming up with that one as well.
Well, since I was a certified gardener, my second job was putting wires in the street of my hometown, close to Neuburg, and connecting people to the internet, sharing my home internet connection. So I was always kind of affiliated to this internet business. And in 2010, I was almost hopping off the company too. And I decided, whatever happens, I will do some networking stuff besides it, because that's a lot of passion in there. So follow your passion, otherwise your business doesn't grow. And then I had the opportunity, Schladming had the World Championship in skiing in 2013, and they happened to ask us, it's a telecom story again, they happened to ask us, we need a Wi-Fi for this. And we said, okay, we can build it. And then suddenly we had the largest skiing resort in the Alps, like Schirmadee, as a customer, and this was running as a side business. And at some point after my 2 years, I was sure a group of companies is not the way I can work to my full potential. That's why I quit this spring to be fully engaged at Unwired. I quit Gentics to be fully engaged at Unwired.
No, he didn't quit you, Klaus. Everything is fine. Everything is okay. Maybe your view on Unwired, you're a shareholder, and can give us some insight what happened, like what did you think when he came up with another business to run at the side while you were quite busy, I can guess already.
Yeah. I mean, 2010, when everybody in our management team was not happy, I realized that if we don't give Alex enough space to also see what for his passions, then he might leave our marriage. Yeah? And I didn't want that to happen, so I also pushed him to start his company besides, and not leave Gentics, but work for Gentics, and also besides work for Unwired. This was pretty good advice, I think, because today I'm also an investor in Unwired, and I also work a little bit for them, or for the new company. But it also gave Alex the try to see if he wanted to do it on his own. I think a little bit he learned that it's not so funny alone, so always have a co-founder. So this is why I now work a little bit with him, under him, however do you want to see that. He's my boss now.
He's still waiting for the occasion to fire you. You know that one. He's still waiting for you to fuck up so he can say, Klaus, I'm very sorry, you're out of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, it was not easy in the acquisition process. You know, when Gentics, when we had this acquisition, I was like, this was payday. You know, I had that on my personal goals for like 10 years, 15 years. It was like not selling the company, but make it a beautiful bride. And when it gets sold, then earn the money you always had in your mind. And it worked out, yeah. Because if you have a clear goal, and I always had the number on my paper over my bed, you know, there were the goals. And it was funny because they gave us a prize. We cannot talk about that, unfortunately, but they gave us a prize and it was not high enough. Yeah, and then I wrote something in the Excel, a number. I turned it to like 7 people from the other side. I said, this is our emotional prize. And they walked out the room, came back. Of course, they lowered it a little bit, but at the end they paid it, because we were so dedicated. And this is very good. So always please write down your personal goals, pin it over your bed, and read it in the morning, and it will happen. Yeah. And so it happened that Alex has his company now. I'm invested. I'm happy. What is my job right now?
I was wondering now, both of you. So, what's next? And Alex, maybe you can give us some insight. What's he doing at Unwired, and what's his vision for Unwired? And maybe I'm always wondering, what the fuck are you doing all the time, apart from being at home and I don't know, sitting in coffee houses, as I saw recently. So Alex, maybe give us some insight about Unwired and what's the vision.
One insight to add here is, in the beginning we had all contracts about everybody not leaving and how you get punished in the company when you do leave, and we always felt strangled. And in the end, if you have the right team and you gave yourself some time to find that out, we've been much more creative. That led to the possibility and the trust to do things beside that, because kind of WikiDocs was a Heimo business in the beginning. So Heimo, like me, had the opportunity to pursue this business besides us working at Gentics. So you need the right amount of freedom versus connection to be successful. And concerning Unwired, our goal was to really provide hotspot Wi-Fi, like you get power from the plug, to connect hardware and a software service. So when you own a cafe, or if you're a hotel or whatever, it shouldn't be as complicated as in the past. You plug it in, and the second part is you use it as a marketing tool. So Wi-Fi and internet shouldn't cost you something, but it should be something that helps you promote your social media presence. It should fill your address database. It should give you insights in what your customers are interested in. So these are the two foundations: hardware and software connected, and marketing value for the customer.
Okay, Klaus, what are you doing and what are you going to do?
So I talked to some people who sold their company, and I always heard that after they sold it, they moved on to the next business. Yeah, and they were like not happy about that. They always said, I should have taken some time off. So what I did is I took some time off, and I'm still in like finding out what's nice, and I spend a lot of time with my family, and I'm Sydney, as you heard, so I've been for 3.5 weeks in Sydney this year, and in London, and I go to Florida and so on. So really to enjoy my life right now, because why did we work like hell for this company and spend like hundreds of hours per week, hundreds, maybe 100, and this might be for some reason, and the reason hopefully is that you afterwards can like enjoy your life more. I can tell you, it's on the one side it's cool, on the other side, I'm already thinking about what can I do next. So if you're like always a driven person, you will stay driven, and you will found your next company, your next startup, or join your friend's company soon after that. But for half a year I said I will do nothing. I can't say do nothing because I turned 40 this year, and so you can either buy a red sports car when you're 40, or today you have to say a Tesla, or you can work for a six-pack. I'm right now working still on a six-pack. It doesn't work out until 40, but maybe next year. So this is what I do right now, and it's quite nice. But after Christmas, after New Year, I will start a new company, and we'll see what happens.
You're really working on a six-pack now in Christmas time. That is a very tough goal. I'm very impressed.
It's plastic surgery for Christmas.
Yeah, I've seen his current state. Sorry, it's like too much pictures in my mind. So that's the time for questions now. So as always, I remind you, please ask your questions. I will repeat them because we have got it on first on live stream and also on the video that we then publish. And after repeating, then those two are able to answer them. Maybe able, maybe not. But yeah. So what's your questions? No questions.
Alex wanted to ask a question. He told me before.
Gentics company, and which seems to be a pretty beautiful bride, as you mentioned. So I was wondering, how were the negotiations going with the Australians?
So you asked, like, you sold Gentics and then later on that, so how was the negotiations when you were selling later on WikiDocs to Australia? How long took it, and like how was that working out?
It's like getting babies. It's 9 months. No joke. That's about the time you need from the first contact. I mean, of course there will be variations, but funny enough, that's the time it took. And you have the first phase, different phases basically. First phase is getting to know, establishing trust, getting a first offer. So you have this famous email with the first numbers, and then you have a phase where you try to pin down a term sheet, it's like get the main bullet points of the deal done. That's the thing where you can fuck up most, because whatever they tell you, and if somebody comes there and tells you, well, that's standard, or don't worry, we'll check this later, forget about it. It's all bullshit. You have to do it in the beginning, and you have to be strict on your goals. And once this is nailed down, then the real negotiations start, and then you need lawyer, tax advisor, and all this stuff. And when inside I got is, you have to be in charge. You should be the ones, if possible, providing the contractual template, if that's possible. Mostly it's not, then you have to rewrite the other ones. So that's where you really have to dig down. And the thing is, we are really control freaks in this regard. So Klaus and me, and he's a congenial partner in this, we are really like getting down and trying to understand and questioning the lawyers, like, why is it this way and how does it work, and finding the right constructions and regulations with the tax advisor. That's a very important phase, and that can bring you close to breaking up the deal, especially in WikiDocs then when you have American lawyers who ignore you basically for 3 months, and then they get stressed, and then they try to push you into things you never wanted to accept.
I mean, can only repeat that really the term sheet, so the first six papers you have, the 6 document sheets you have, they are the limit. Yeah, you can only go down afterwards. So be very, very careful about the term sheet. And I hope our stories, they don't bring it in the wrong view. But I convinced Alex the year we sold the WikiDocs. I convinced him to learn diving, scuba diving. Yeah, and it was like on Friday, I think. And on Friday we got this email from Heimo, and he said, "They want to buy us. They want to buy us. We have to negotiate the term sheet." I said, "Fuck. We are leaving tomorrow with a plane to Egypt for 1 week of diving on a boat, and on the boat you have absolutely really shit connection. Internet connection is possible. The last 2 years before that you didn't even have internet connection or couldn't make any phone calls. And so we left. We said, okay, basically it's okay. Speed Invest will do that with Heimo. We will leave. The problem is if you're a control freak, you can't leave that. So we were like diving, and when we came out of the water, we were like sitting together. Each one of us had a earphone in the head, and we had like the phone looking for some connection, phoning with US, calling from Egypt with an Austrian phone. Sydney was also involved in that call. Don't ask for how much we had to pay afterwards to
so half of the price you got. Basically,
it was probably like that, but it was very funny. The boat, they only laughed at us, because we're like really sitting all the time working on the laptop. But it was very fun, I think. And Alex always said, shit, the term sheet is the most important thing. If we fuck that up, everything will be fucked up. But it was quite funny.
Vincent?
Listening to you also sounds like you had a lot of luck, but what would you say were the most important things you did to push your luck?
So Vincent was asking, it sounds also there's of course luck involved as always, but like what did you do? There's always this saying, luck will don't, you have to work very hard for your luck. So what was the most important things you think that you did right, that you pushed your luck, that made it possible to get where you are?
I guess one thing was to know the right people. So connections are something you can never have enough in terms of like people that can consult you, good employees, but also customers. And I knew the Austrian press agency knew us from us being member in one of their presentation programs. So that's the way it worked out, and that's the way they asked us, because you have to be asked and you never know if somebody wants to know you. The second thing is, I guess we had a broad interest in many things, especially on the C level, and that helps you enormously, because you need to be able also to present your ideas. You need to be willing to present the ideas and have a certain form, certain manners. That's all things that build trust. And if you have this lucky situation, which we definitely had, you need to like put the ball in the hole. That's one thing. And in the end, the good mixture was that Heimo was always willing to risk most of the three of us, both technology-wise and as well as in the negotiations.
I mean, living in Sydney, getting a really high wage, a lot of risk. Yeah, so really a lot of things. No, I mean, I'm still.
He was
thinking
living in a little fucky hostel when I met him in Sydney. Yeah, okay. So
it's for the first 2 months, but now he's living, ocean view and everything. But the full I don't know how to translate, but the luck, the Glück des Tüchtigen. This is always what I say is if you're really like investing a lot of time, if you're curious about things, if you want to get to know new things, as I said before, yeah, I think then you can always be very successful. And if you have a vision in mind, then I think you will sell your idea somewhere. Yeah, if you're not completely. I mean, you also have to find the point when you know that there's no market for your product anymore. Yeah, but I mean, we had enough revenue. We love to create websites, all the web technologies. I mean, I still love web technologies. And if you're so curious and you're really like burning for the topics, then when you want to sell, I mean, not everybody wants to sell, yeah. Then you will find somebody. Yeah.
Okay, if there is one last question, I can give it one last question. Today, there is one in the end. So like the question was, how often did you have to refine your vision, especially in terms of like communicating them to hires, like, and also the first hires that had to work a lot, and like how basically how was that vision process, especially when products change and you understand that it's a service business now, it's that business, and you talked a lot about your this part of your business. Maybe you can give us some insights on that.
I think that when you're burning for your own topic, yeah, or if you're like, it's always I think that money is not everything. Yeah, a lot of people are leaving Google, yeah, because they don't like it there. Yeah, there's too big. They're like getting bigger and bigger. Have more processes. We always tried in our company to really make you happy to have a family there, yeah, something like a family. So we also tried to sell that feeling. I mean, we explained that we are the biggest in Austria and we have these and these companies, but I tried to articulate also my burning ideas about technologies and what I like to try, and we didn't even have that, yeah. But I'm talking about, like, as I said before, and I just throw it in like machine learning, yeah. I have nothing to do right now with machine learning, but it's cool, yeah. And we talked about Hadoop and all these cool technologies, and I always try to convince the people who are most of the time were more intelligent than I was, with my fire for these topics, and also what we can achieve with them, and like that they will be our most important column for the future. And if that didn't work out, I try to sell them our party culture. Yeah. So when we will have the next party, and I get them drunk and then make them sell the work contract. Huh? That worked for you, Christopher.
So the last word basically goes in that sense to the CEO. You are CEO because
you're fired.
There's an insight on that vision thing, and also maybe on also from your position now as an CEO at Unwired, like how did that develop as well, and how can you communicate that very well, especially to the earliest hires?
I fully agree with Klaus. Klaus was the shepherd of the company, keeping the people together and taking care of them emotionally and also work-wise by getting things done, which is really, really important. The vision is a very different beast, actually, and that was one of the hardest points ever. We changed ours a lot. We never were totally satisfied, and at Gentics, we thought we never had it narrow enough to really live up to it. There was really we weren't as narrow as it would be today in a classical startup as you would be required to. But still, every time we talked about it, we went in a different direction and could improve the company. So it's an important process. It's not a one-time process. It's an important process. And for the people to engage them, well, give them responsibility. That was one of the big things, no matter if it's Christopher or even our contractors, they could really early take responsibility for a customer and parts of the project. And responsibility is something you need trust in the people to give it to them, which can be very hard. But if you do it correctly and if you have the right structures to support them personally, the ones that can cope with it, they really go through the roof. That's one of the big things you can provide. You give them opportunity and responsibility. That's what I think is important.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please give those two guys a big round of applause.